Hello, everyone. It is Friday, January the 26th, 2024. Fiona Lukeis here coming to you live. Now, it's actually a public holiday here, but I wanted to make sure I was live with you today because I'm going away next weekend for my husband. I'm going away next. I won't be here next Friday because it's my husband's birthday and we're going away now. We've got a vintage little van that we go away in. So we're going away for a few days. So I won't be here next week. So I really thought I wanted to connect with you guys and not leave it too long. And also the questions are building up and I want to make sure I can get through as many of those. So here I am on January the 26th coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. I'll just give the feed a little bit of time to connect through to you guys so you know that I'm here. And as always, if you are watching or if you are tuning in, whether you are live with me now or you're watching the recording of this, which I know many of you do, please feel free to say hi and let me know where you're listening from. As I was just saying, today is a public holiday in Australia, but I wanted to be here with you live as I'm going away next weekend for my husband's birthday. We're going away for a few days in our van, and I will not be able to be with you live. So I want to make sure I get some of these questions answered that you sent through. And obviously, if you are joining live, I'll do my best to answer whatever question you bring to the live as well. All right. So like always, thank you so much for being here. It is a funny day in Melbourne today. The sun doesn't know what it's doing. It's in, out, in, out. It was pouring with rain. Now it's sunny. It's all over the place. We've had a very bizarre summer here. I know some of you are in the middle of snowstorms and it's freezing. I've been speaking to clients in the Northern Hemisphere all week who are dealing with quite extreme conditions. So I feel for you. So I won't talk to you about the fact that I have the air conditioning on and it's a lovely warm day here. I won't rub your nose in it about all that. Anyway, so I'm going to get to the first question that has come through for me today. And as always, if you're tuning in, please say hi. Please say hi. Let me know where you're listening from. And if you have a question, post it in the comments below. But yeah, I've had a few questions. It's been such a funny week. I would say one of the themes for this week has been laughter and humor with my clients, with my students in my Relatable program. People, I love it when we get to a point, and that was certainly the case on our live call on Wednesday, when we get to a point where we can get over ourselves enough and actually find humor in some of our struggle. There is a lot of humor to be found in our struggle. And I don't mean that to be derogatory to any of you who are struggling. I really don't. I've absolutely had my fair share of struggles, and I will again. Life is a contact sport after all, but there is humor to be found in the humanness of our struggle. And when you see the lightheartedness of it, it is such a relief not to be living in the feeling of that. Hey, Carlin. Hi. Nice to have you here. Thank you so much for saying hi. Where are you listening from? Where are you in the world? Would love to know. And anyone else out there who wants to say hi, please do. Such was the case. I had a gorgeous lady from the UK who joined my Relatable program in mid-December last year, and she was sharing on the call this week how much things had changed, like massive. It was actually incredible. We were all very moved and very emotional by what she'd shared and what was so different for her. One of the things she said to me was, Fiona, when I started this, because she was struggling with many, many things. She said, Fiona, when I started this and you used to say the term funny little human, I used to say, no, it's not. This is serious. There are people really struggling. And Fiona's laughing like that's not okay. That's not. And of course, that's not what I mean by that at all. But she said, as she's learnt the understanding, as she's been a part of the program, and she said, I can see it now. We are very funny little humans. We're hilarious. We're a lot more funny than we realize. And you know what? When you can take yourself less seriously, it is so much easier for you to get over yourself. It is so much easier for you to navigate your way through your frailties. Let me tell you, everything is easier and lighter when we take ourselves less seriously and we can actually see some of the humor that there is to be found in our own struggle. This is very important for our relationships, guys. Everything that I say around how we handle things, how we navigate through our insecurities, how we deal with our humanness, all of it is so important when it comes to the quality of connection, communication, and playfulness and all of those things, goodwill that we can create in our relationships. Okay, Long Island, New York. Okay, fantastic. Pretty cold there for you, I'm guessing, Carlin. It'd be snowing, right? I'm guessing. You guys get a lot of snow in New York in winter, don't you? And it's like the middle of winter. Hi, Lee from the Gold Coast. Oh, well, you've got the opposite problem, Lee. It'd be nice and warm up there for you. Boiling, I would imagine. Gold Coast, anything north of where I live is warm. I'm kind of south of Australia. Down south of Australia, so it always gets cooler here. So the more north you go, the warmer it is. The more south you go, the colder it is, which I know is the complete opposite for you guys in the northern hemisphere, right? The more south you go, the warmer it is, and the more north you go, the colder it is. Okay, rainy today, which I guess is going to move that snow along, right? I know I've spoken to people in Minnesota, Alberta, other places where they're in 3-4 foot of snow, and which just boggles my mind. Hi, Charles. You're in Kansas City, Missouri. All right, hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for saying hi. I really appreciate it. Hi, Franca. Haven't seen you on a live for a while. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. Very nice. Hello. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying hi, guys. So if there's something that if you have a question or something you want me to talk about on today's live, please post it in the comments below, or a subject matter, go for it. But whilst you are having a think about that, I am going to go to today's question. Now, this question is very long, so I'm trying to break it down and give you the gist of it, because it would take me 5 minutes to read this question out. So what I've done is I was just having a quick read of it before we went live, and I want to just break it down. So basically what's happened is this person sent me in a question talking about the fact that they've been very good friends with someone for about 6.5 years. They've done lots and lots of things together. They've been to the movies, concerts, hiking, biking, all of these sorts of things, and that has stayed quite platonic. But in the last few months, his feelings have changed for her, and so he wrote a letter, pouring his heart out, kind of expressing how he feels, and I don't know the ins and outs of the letter, but telling her how much he appreciates her, basically. And they met up for dinner, and it was during dinner he sort of said she wasn't in a great frame of mind. She had some personal things going on, and after I'd finished talking to her, I gave her the letter, and in hindsight, that probably wasn't a great time for it. But at the time, it seemed like she appreciated it. She thought it was really sweet, and she was quite taken aback by that. But since then, so since that night when he gave her the letter, he's asked to meet up several times, and she said she's either busy or she can't make it. And he said, there were all these things that we were talking about, and there were all these things we were going to do together, and it's kind of, everything's kind of ground to a halt. And he's saying, I don't know whether to message her or leave her alone. Maybe the letter was too much. He's asked a few friends, and they thought it was lovely, a beautiful letter. And he said, I don't know what to do. I do feel a little obsessed, and my feelings are so palpable. My friends have told me that she'd be lucky to have me, and I've been told it's her loss if she doesn't want to cross the line. I've been told all of these things. I just don't know. I really want to have her in my life, and I want so much to reach out to her. Any ideas? So, first of all, I think this is something that many of us can relate to. Whether you've been in a situation where you have been in a platonic friendship, and then one of your feelings have changed and you've poured your heart out, or whether you are in an intimate relationship and you've poured your heart out to someone, and you found them stepping back from you. Okay, this can happen whether you're in a relationship with someone or not. And I've had other people bring me similar scenarios. So I think this is a great question, and thank you so much for asking it. I think one of the things that we tend to get frightened of doing is speaking to the elephant in the room. And I was actually just on in a session with a client in the UK this morning, and we were actually talking about this, about the power of honesty and being honest with each other, instead of trying to avoid the elephant in the room, instead of trying to avoid the thing and not speak about the thing that's just kind of hanging there, and then everyone gets really, really awkward. And sometimes it's the simplest of things that makes the biggest difference. And really, as you guys have, if you guys have been listening to me for a little while, you will hear me talk about this a lot. Simplicity is the key to everything. We overcomplicate everything, us humans. We do. It's one of the reasons why I call us a funny little human, is because we overcomplicate our lives. We overcomplicate situations. We overthink about things. And then we tie ourselves inadvertently, innocently in knots. Okay. And then we make things way bigger than they actually are. And this is a part of the human experience. We all do it. But then, of course, it's very difficult for us to know whether we're looking at something that is a true reflection of what something is, or whether it's something we've just blown up in our own minds, right? It can be tricky to know the difference. So I guess one of the things that I want to say here, and I want to keep this really simple, it's best to speak to the elephant in the room instead of trying to dance around it, trying to figure it out, asking everyone's opinion. What do you think? Read my letter. How would you deal with this? How do you feel? What do you think of it? Do you think that I was too intense? Do you think that I was too this? Do you all of that? See how that complicates everything? And then it just adds more and more mental load. I cannot tell you enough how much harder everything is when we have a lot of mental load. I wish you could all see the power in putting down mental load and the benefit of it in every area of your life. I get, with people who do my relatable program or clients or whatever, when they come to me and say, OMG, and I'll often get that, Fiona, I am not thinking about the same things in the same way or the same amount of stuff. The relief, the lightness is unbelievable. And I'm seeing how much more effective I am at work or with my kids or on anything that I want to do. Who knew? I mean, I've heard you say it, but you've got to experience it. I'm like, yep, you do, to really see the power of it. So this person, by asking everyone what they think, has made everything super complicated for themselves and added a lot of mental load. And of course, it's mental load that gets us stuck, right? It's not the situation that gets us stuck. It's our mental load about it. This is a very important distinction, because people think it's this situation creating the stuckness, but it's actually your mental load that creates it. Okay. And then we kind of spiral around the same thinking. And then we end up in the same place, and then we keep getting stuck, and it looks like it's the situation, but I'm telling you guys, it's the mental load that you're carrying about it. So it's very simple here. What is very, very important is that you need to be honest with this person. Now, one of the reasons we struggle with honesty at times is it can feel very vulnerable and raw and leaving ourselves open. But you'd be amazed when you are open and honest, and that's where your relationship with you matters so much, because when you're comfortable in your own skin, it is easy for you to have the humility that you need, and humility is important when it comes to being honest, right? Humility is important, no matter what aspect. I mean, my client this morning said, since I've started to become, I've just let things go. I'm so much more comfortable in my own skin, and I'm honest. She said the other day, my car stopped working. I took it to the repair shop. They said, what happened? Is in a reason why you think it's not working. She said, I drove my car through a really big puddle when I shouldn't have. And once I did that, the engine stopped. She said, once upon a time, I would never have admitted that. I would have danced around it, said it was this, and this, and been too embarrassed to even admit that. She said, I've got nothing on stuff anymore. I'm able to say things like that and not second guess myself, worry about what people think, worry about, are they going to take advantage of me by telling them this, worry about all the stuff that we worry about, right? And so she said, there's just not the mental load, Fiona. It's so freeing. I just get to be me, and I get to meet things where they are, not where I think they should be. So really important for the person who sent this question through. Be honest with her. Say, hey, and honesty looks like this. Hey, I really noticed since I sent that letter to you that communication has fallen away a bit. We haven't caught up as much. I feel like there's a distance between us. Is there something in what I wrote that's a problem for you? Can we talk about it? I'm really open to talking about it. Would that be okay? So that's what I mean by addressing the elephant in the room. But here's the thing, okay? This is the key. This is the secret to being able to address the elephant in the room, right? Very, very important. You cannot address the elephant in the room if you're loaded. And so what I mean by loaded is, and I'm going to keep using this question as an example, if you were to go and address the elephant in the room with your friend and you really, really, really want a response from her, or you really, really want her to say a certain thing, or you really, really want her to tell you everything's okay, right? That's you coming loaded. Now, you may not say it, but it will be in your energy. There'll be this, she'll feel it energetically and she'll be moving away like this, okay? So it's really important that if you are going to address the elephant in the room, you do it with nothing on it, you're neutral, and that is absolutely possible, and it's easier than you think, so that you can truly allow space for her to step into the conversation rather than feeling like she's being bombarded and pushed and then kind of move in this direction. And we do this quite innocently and quite inadvertently without realizing it, because we're not aware of what we're bringing, or the being, where our being is in regards to somebody else. This is one of our biggest blind spots, and not something we are aware enough. And I'm telling you, when you do have an understanding of that, it's very freeing and empowering, because you know where you are in relationship to something. And this is the key to everything. So number one, absolutely be honest, address the elephant in the room, but make sure that you're neutral when you do it. Don't go in there loaded with lots of expectations about how you think she should be, or what you think she should say, or what she should bring. There is power in neutrality. I cannot express this to you enough. Neutrality creates space. Neutrality allows the other person to get access to fresh thinking. Neutrality is rich and full of potential. And it is something we struggle with, because we show up to things and we're so loaded, guys, right? When you're loaded, you will create the opposite to what you want to create. Now, a lot of people don't know they're loaded, right? Because it's not something that we kind of talk about or we are encouraged to look in the direction of or understanding. But I'm really big on people seeing this and knowing this, because then you know where you are and you know what you're creating, you know what you're generating. That's very important, because when you know what you're generating, that level of awareness allows you to choose something else in a moment of now when you need to. If you've got that level of awareness and you're like, whoa, I'm really loaded here, you can self-correct. If you don't have it, you just keep doing the same thing over and over again and wondering why you get the same result or nothing changes, okay? Now, everyone can develop that awareness. Everyone. That's open and available to any and everybody on the planet, right? It really is. It's got nothing to do with your age or gender or past or religion or culture or education or what you do for a living, how much trauma you've had in the past, none of it. This is something that is free and available to us all. And it is a wonderful thing to have in your life, because I know what I'm generating. And when I know what I'm generating, if it's not going so well, I can choose something else. I can bring something else to the conversation. So address the elephant in the room and make sure you're neutral, okay? Very, very, very important. All right. Hello. Hi, Donna. Nice to see you. Hello. Thank you. Elise from Benalla, Victoria. Beautiful. Hi, Elise. Thank you. Hello, Lynn. Oh, my goodness. It's been ages. Hello, Lynn from Perth. Very nice to see you here. That's so lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying hi. Okay, so getting to the next question that I have here. All right. Okay. Hi, Fiona. Please, could you talk about love? My husband doesn't feel he has loved me for a few years. He says he needs to feel love for me again before he can come home. We are living separately. I know I have felt that I haven't loved him in the past, and that I have loved him again. I'm trying to work on goodwill between us, and he has stopped feeling angry with me and feels that I don't put him down anymore. Okay, fantastic. I feel like he could love me again, but I don't know if he will. If you have the time to talk about love, and perhaps the question is, do we need love in a relationship? Is it something that comes and goes when you spend a long time with someone? What are your top tips for getting that loving feeling? Okay. Well, that's a big subject, right? Love in of itself is a big subject. Although I love the timing of this, because this has been a big a really big subject with my relatable students this year. We started live calls back in the middle of Jan, and this has been a very big part of our conversation, because I've made a very big commitment to them this year. I'm turning up the dial of the container of love I'm going to hold for them all this year, and then what that actually means in terms of what's possible for them. So, one of the and you know what's really interesting about that, and I want to share a little bit of a story about that. I on one of the early first calls of this year, and I spend time when I've got some downtime, and downtime is very important. This is why I'm a big believer in giving yourself space. I spent time on my break this summer reflecting, and and when you reflect, it's not so much about seeking an answer or having to know an answer. It's about playing with the idea of something and seeing what comes to you from that. So I was playing around with, how can I be more present? How can I bring a bigger sense of presence to something, to myself, to my loved ones, to my students, to my clients? So I was playing around with that. That was something I was reflecting on and sitting with. And again, when I reflect on something, I do so from a neutral frame of mind. So what does that mean? It means I don't reflect with the need for an answer, or I need to know, I have to know. I reflect from a sense of, well, let's just see what shows up. And I'm not attached to any type of answer. Let's just see what shows up. Now, the other thing that I was reflecting on was, how can I turn the dial up of love? Like, how can I bring a greater sense of love to me? Because it always starts with you guys. Like, if I can't bring a greater sense of love to me, I cannot bring it to someone else. What you bring to someone else is a reflection of what you bring to you, 100%. Okay? Truly, truly, truly it is. So how can I bring that to me, so that I can bring that to the people I care about, my students and my clients, right? And you guys, like, how can I bring a greater sense of that to the world, right? That's what I was kind of playing around with. And it was really interesting, because as I played around with that, a few things came to mind. I had a few insights, I had a few realizations, and I was sharing those with my relatable students. And I said, I want to hold the container of love so high for you guys, so high that your limitations, your perceived limitations, become far, far less interesting and compelling. I want to dial it up so much, right? I want to dial it up so much that you can step into that, and you're focusing more on your greatness than breathing life into your limitations. I made this very, very big statement on the call. And look, it was really interesting, and the ripple effect of that, and how that's rippled out with how people are seeing themselves, how they're relating to their own limitations that we all have. We all have limitations that we create for ourselves, and how they're breathing less and less life into those, and then what that's bringing as they move forward. So what do I mean? Love is who you are, right? It's who you are. A lot of us have forgotten that. We think we are broken, or we're missing something, or we need to do something, or we need to find something, or there's something to fix. It's not true. I'm not going to argue about. A lot of people struggle with me making that statement, but it's fundamentally true. When you see that and you know that about yourself, there is this capacity to forgive yourself quickly and bring more love to others. And in a relationship, we tend to accept a very low level of feeling and love for ourselves and others. And we seem to think that that's okay. And it's nobody's fault, but the bar is very low. It's very low. And one of the reasons it's low is people say, well, it's hard because, we don't have enough money, or, the kids are difficult, or we don't have enough time, or, my partner's a workaholic, or whatever. Like, we have all of these limitations that we breathe life into, that we feed. Okay. And so, of course, that then dulls down the amount of love that you could generate, feel, experience, play with. And I'm like, I want to turn the dial up on that thing, like crank that thing right up. Okay. So that when I'm around my husband, I'm not buying into my own limited thinking of, why did he do that? I hate it when he does that. Oh, it's this, all of this stuff that kind of pulls us away from the truth of who we are and the feeling of that. I'm like, I just want to crank that thing up. Now, the impact that has had just in the last couple of weeks has been mind-blowing within my students in that community, where everyone's like, man, this has just gone up a notch. The difference in my husband and I mean, we're very close and loving anyway, but it's just gone to another level. And, the thing is, there are infinite levels of experience around anything, right? There are infinite levels of experience around anything. This is another thing that people don't understand. They think that, you know what I mean, us humans, we don't understand this, so we get to a point and we go, oh, that's all there is. It's like, that's not true. Nothing is ever all there is. There is always another level if you wish to explore it. I'm not saying you have to. This isn't me telling you what to do, but I am someone who will always explore things because I'm infinitely curious and I want to play with stuff and see what's possible, right? And so I know there are infinite levels of experience around anything, infinite levels of understanding around anything. And when it comes to love, well, that is absolutely infinite. So, you can love someone more. You can dial that up. Now, how do you dial up love? You stop paying attention to all the dissatisfaction. You stop breathing life into all the stuff that gives you the pips about someone and that we get caught up in, that then dulls that feeling, right? You forgive quickly and you keep on loving more. Now, it's amazing how people will say, yeah, but Fiona, what about bad behavior? You can't just ignore that. Like, in other words, people will fight for the limitation first before they will fight for the possibility of something. It's fascinating how we do that, right? How people will fight for the limitation of something first rather than the possibility of something. And so I'm like, I want to play with that. So what I would be saying to you, honey, is you want that man to feel so loved by you, right? So loved. You got to turn that dial up, honey. Like, turn it up. You want him to come back. You want him to know that he's loved. You want him to know that he matters. You got to turn that thing up, because you just got to be honest with yourself and saying, I have been playing a very small game around this, right? I have not dialed that thing up anywhere near enough. So turn it up and see what happens. Like, turn it up. Forget about the past. Forget about who's done what to who and who's better at what. Get all that competitive stuff out. Be more humble. Be more gracious. Be more forgiving of yourself, especially, and dial that thing up. Like, play full out with it and see what you can create. And see your own power in being able to do that. Does love ebb and flow? No. Do feelings ebb and flow? Well, it depends, right? It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. We can have flat days, we can have down days, but this whole thing of what we accept to be true, there's a honeymoon period and then it goes, and you know how things are. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, we accept limitations unquestioningly. Go, oh, that's the way things are. No, nothing is ever the way it is. You just haven't explored what's possible yet. And again, doesn't say that I'm not saying you have to. This is just me. I love to see what else is available to me in terms of what I can experience, in terms of what I can create, in terms of how I can connect. That's just me. I'm infinitely curious about that stuff. I'm not saying that you have to be, but if you're not sure, play with it, dial it up, turn it up. And I can just read from here, okay, that's something that you want to be more excited about and play with, okay? It's great to create goodwill, right? It is. Goodwill is is definitely the pathway to love. Compassion is the pathway to love, right? But before you worry about whether your husband could love you again, see that? Like, can you see the fear? I'm not sure if he'll love me again. Don't worry about whether he'll love you again. Just love the heck out of him and see what happens. You're not going to burst into flame if it's not returned. You're actually going to see what's possible for you and what you can generate. This is a good thing, guys. This is an awesome thing. You want to know that. You want to know your capacity to create something and generate something and see what's available to you in terms of how you can feel. Because let's face it, when it comes down to it, when it boils right down to it, the quality of the feeling you live in determines, your day-to-day, moment-by-moment depth of experience, right? And so many of us, and it's nobody's fault. What's the word? It's all very innocent. We're just not aware of what's on offer. And I say this to people all the time. You do not know what's on offer in terms of how you can feel, because we are so accepting of the bar that we're at. We're so accepting of it. We go, oh yeah, this is as good as it gets. This is it. It's like, really? I don't think so. Doesn't have to be anyway. You can do something about that. You can dial that thing up if you want to. You can. You have that capacity. Now, you might be sitting there in a difficult situation going, oh, yeah, sure, Fiona, whatever, right? And I get that. I get it. I get that there's skepticism. I get that the people are like, I can't see it. But I'm telling you, when you understand how things work, when you understand your own power to create, I'm telling you, you can do it. It's amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. So if this is resonating, let me know, or send me a heart or something. That helps me to know that I'm on track. So appreciate any feedback that you have. Someone sent me one before, so thank you for that person who sent me a heart when I said that before. I do appreciate it. Or give me a like or something. Just let me know if this is making sense, and if this is something that you can see some possibility around for yourself, because that's what I'm here for, guys, is to generate possibility where I can, all right, or plant the seeds of possibility where I can. And love is a very, very, very important part of our lives. One of the biggest keys to love is loving yourself through your frailties. Everybody has them, okay? If I could say there are two things that matter there's a number of things that matter, but two really big things that stand out in a relationship, all right? Number one, you have to know how to get over yourself. You have to be really good at that, okay? Really good at it. And I've got to be honest, most of us suck. We're not very good at it. We're terrible at it. We dig our heels in. We defend our limitations. We argue with our rules, and we defend them, and we get stuck in them, and we dig our heels in, and then we become terrible at getting over ourselves, right? You have to be really good at getting over yourself. If you want to be a good parent, you have to be really good at getting over yourself, right? Teenagers are brutal. If you want to be a great partner, you have to be really good at getting over yourself. If you want to be a great friend, you have to be really good at getting over yourself. If you want to love yourself, you have to forgive yourself, which is getting over yourself. Like, it's the heart of everything. And whether you want to admit it or not, most of you aren't good at it. Pretty much everyone that comes across my path is terrible at it, right? I'll freely admit it, I was shocking. I was horrendous at it, okay? My husband was actually far better at it than me. In fact, if truth be told, he probably still is, right? I'm definitely a work in progress on that. But the relief when you can. I can get over myself in about 5 minutes now. It used to take me 5 days at least, if not longer, sometimes weeks. So you have to be really good at getting over yourself, okay? And you know what? To be honest, getting over yourself is an essential life skill on so many levels, right? If you're someone who holds grudges, you block connection, you block love, and you're playing a really small game in terms of what's available and on offer to you. And if that is something that you know that you're not good at, please do something about it. Like, why would you continue to do that when you don't have to? It makes no sense to me, right? And it is certainly not going to help your relationships. Now, the other thing is, so number one, you've got to be really good at getting over yourself. Number two, and this kind of leads on to what I was just saying, you have to be really good at navigating your own frailties and then navigating the frailties of somebody else. So the relationships that do really well are people who are able to get over themselves, who are able to deal with their own frailties, and everybody's got frailties, that's just part of the human condition, and deal with your partner or whoever you're living with, their frailties. Because you spend enough time with someone, you will come up against your own and somebody else's. And if you're not very good at dealing with that stuff, now here's how you know you're not good at it. As soon as someone gets upset, you get stressed, you get worried, you go into people pleaser mode. I hope everyone's okay. Or you shut down, you disappear, you stop talking to everyone, you stonewall, and people say, are you okay? And you say, I'm fine. I'm fine. Or you say nothing at all. You distract yourself by being on social media. Or maybe you're someone who just yells and screams and throws stuff. I have been known, I'm not proud of this, but I have been known back in the day when I couldn't get over myself to throw things like cheese and carrots when I was really angry. Definitely thrown a lump of cheese against the wall before. I've definitely thrown a carrot on the bench when I was in a fit of rage. So yeah, I was definitely the person that would yell and at times throw stuff. So, if you are doing any of those things, you really do need to learn how to get over yourself. Okay. You really do. It's very, very, very important. And it feels amazing when you get good at it. It's very freeing. It's very empowering. Okay. And it's navigating someone else's frailties. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to frailties, and we've all got them, and like I said, it doesn't matter. Even if you were to go out tomorrow, meet your perfect match, like they ticked every box in your life, they have frailties. And so what does it mean? It means that when our frailties come out, the worst of us is on display. Okay? And everybody has that capacity. This is a commonality amongst humans. All right? Everyone's got them. So it's not like it's a terrible thing that you have or someone else has, but everybody has frailties. Now, if you can't navigate yours very well, then you will not be able to navigate somebody else's very well. And what happens when a couple gets into that, or anyone in relationship gets into doing that poorly, this is when goodwill falls through the floor. This is when people feel emotionally unsafe. This is when people stop trusting each other emotionally. This is when people go into self-defense mode. This is when connection, communication, it all starts to fall away. And this is where people end up living like strangers. And it really begins with those two things. Someone not being able to get over themselves and someone not being able to navigate their own and somebody else's frailties. This is very, very important. There is no point. This is why certain things don't help people, right? There's no point going on a date night if you haven't dealt with each other's frailties very well, because you might have a nice time, but you're kind of doing that over the top of the elephant in the room. You're doing it over the top of something because it's like, this is what I hear people say, and I can tell. They'll be sitting there at dinner and they'll be thinking, well, we're having a nice time until the next time we have that blow up, until the next time something doesn't go well, until the next time my partner comes home in a bad mood, or till the next time, right, we do this. And so people are on tenterhooks. It's like, this is okay, but I know that this won't last long. Pretty soon this is going to happen. And so this is like the specter that hangs over your relationship. And so that then becomes the baseline that you continuously go down to, and people become exhausted by that. They lose hope. They start to feel like, what's the point? And we cycle around the same old thing. So you want to know how to change that. You've got to be really good at getting over yourself. You've got to be really great at navigating frailties. And then from there, everything becomes infinitely, 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 infinitely easier. Okay? Because from there, you then develop the opportunity to bring out the best in each other instead of the worst, which is what people do. And I was actually just saying this to someone today. You don't know what a relationship is capable of until you are bringing out the best in each other. Now, if you haven't done that for a long time, you need to have a look at those two things that I mentioned. Now, I often people message me after this and say, how can I learn this, blah, blah, blah. As always, this is what I teach in my online program, Relatable. This is what I teach. This is what we talk about step by step, okay? Hey, Mick. Hello. Mick was on my Relatable call on Wednesday night. We had a very, very funny conversation, you and I, Mick. I was still laughing about it the next day. It's hilarious. You are a very funny man. Thank you, Elise. I love your approach. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hey, Christy, thank you. Thank you for those hearts. Hey, Lucy, are you back from the UK? I wondered if you were back home. Awesome. I'm so glad that was helpful, honey. So glad that was helpful. You've been in my mind, in my thoughts, in my heart, Lucy. All right, everybody. That we're coming up to the 40-minute mark. So that's it for me for today. Any other questions I will get to, please keep sending them through. Like I just said at the start of this live, I'm not going to be here next Friday. It is my husband's birthday. and I'm taking him away for 3 days, and we're leaving on Friday morning. So I will not be live. I will be very present and spending quality time with him. But please send in your questions, and I will make sure that they get answered as soon as possible. I hope this has been helpful to you. Feel free to share this. If you have someone who needs to hear this, or you think this would be helpful, please feel free to share it with them. I am also live on YouTube, so you can find me under Fiona Lukeis in YouTube. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. You're so welcome, Mick. You're so welcome, Charles, Lynn, Lucy. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care now. Bye.